Well, in the competitive world of e-commerce, TikTok, a relative newcomer, has quickly become a major player. Its global sales are now reportedly rivaling those of eBay. TikTok's shop only launched in the US about 2 years ago, and it has grown at a remarkable rate, even while facing threats of being banned from the US. One analytics firm estimates that TikTok shop sold $19 billion worth of goods during the third quarter of this year. That number first reported in Wired magazine, while eBay reported just over $20 billion for that same period. Jason Goldberg is the Chief Commerce Strategy Officer at the marketing firm Publicis. Good to have you with us. I want to start, if you will, just on the news about Walmart. Of course, Doug McMillon stepping down after over a decade in the job, making massive investments in e-commerce and its advertising business and, of course, AI. What do you see as the opportunities and risks for the incoming boss?
Yeah, well, Doug had a remarkable run. It's one of the most successful leadership runs we've seen in my lifetime in retail. And he made it look annoyingly easy, by the way, which is really irritating to me personally. But in the same way that Doug had to navigate this transition from brick and mortar really dominating the world to omni-channel, John's real challenge is going to be the transformation of commerce because of agentic shopping and the answer engines helping consumers make purchase decisions, and in many cases, even purchasing product instead of consumers. So I think Walmart has an embarrassment of riches in terms of talented leadership, and I know John is up for the job, but I think that's going to be the big challenge that he's going to be confronted in his tenure.
Excellent. And Jason, just turning to TikTok Shop, generating $19 billion in the last quarter, almost on par with eBay, which was $20 billion. Just put that into context for us. How remarkable is that, especially considering that eBay has had a 30-year head start?
Exactly. If global e-commerce is a marathon, TikTok Shop entered Usain Bolt and he sprinted the entire race. So they literally caught up to that sort of nearly $20 billion a quarter run rate in less than 2 years, which is remarkable because frankly eBay did quite well to get as big as they have in 30 years.
And so what does that say about how consumer behavior is shifting, right? Because TikTok Shop success seems to rely a lot on, the showing action, videos, the demos, the creators, as opposed to the traditional static shopping, right?
Exactly. If you think of the sort of traditional e-commerce players, the eBays and Amazons and Alibabas, we like to joke that they solved buying, but they broke shopping. They made it really easy to buy things, but they really haven't been terrific at discovery. They, for my 30-year career in retail, saw in stores the primary way people discovered new things they wanted to buy. And so the real power of TikTok is that they've won the battle for the consumer's attention. Here in the United States, the average TikTok user spends over an hour a day, over 7 hours a week on the platform. And so when they added commerce back in 2023, they really were solving for discovery. You go to Amazon when you know you need something and you just want to buy it, but you go to TikTok to be entertained and you discover all kind of products you never knew you needed until you see them on TikTok. And then thanks to TikTok Shop, that gap between desire and fulfillment is very short.
And Jason, what is also remarkable to me is even with the threat of this federal ban hanging over TikTok for most of the year, US shoppers still drove to $4 to $4.5 billion in quarterly sales. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that uncertainty didn't slow it down?
Yeah, well, I think, again, the fundamental asset they had is the consumer's attention. And I think that's been consistent. That's what they've been able to leverage throughout all of this. So the U key on my keyboard is broken from typing uncertainty so many times this year. And from a business perspective, all of these legislative challenges, all the economic headwinds, most of the items sold on TikTok are things that consumers want, not necessarily things consumers need. And so in a challenging economic period, you sometimes expect that to slow down. There have been a lot of changes with tariffs and the de minimis provision that affects how expensive goods are to ship. And yet, in spite of all of that, TikTok has been able to leverage that consumer sentiment to continue to sell.
And of course, in Southeast Asia, TikTok Shop is quite mainstream. Influencers there can move tens of millions of dollars in product in just a few days. What makes those markets such a perfect fit for this sort of model?
Yeah, well, TikTok Shop actually launched in Asia. I want to say Indonesia back in 2021, right during the pandemic, was their first market. And the shopping behavior in Asia is a little bit different than here in the US. Quite a large percentage of all shopping in Asia is driven by live streaming, by live presenters selling in real time to consumers. That's been tried quite a bit here in the West, and there are niches where it works really well, but overall it hasn't been as large. And so those Asian consumers that are used to other platforms and used to the live streaming, the short form video aspects of TikTok and then TikTok Shop, seem to appeal even more. So while the US is individually the biggest market for TikTok, if you add up those various countries in Asia where TikTok is strong, I certainly would agree that Asia is the largest market for TikTok.
Jason Goldberg, great to have you with us on the program. Good to see you. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.